most of POF advertising buys are based on CPM based, and not click based, right?
Right. So CPM basically means cost per thousand impressions, which means every time your ad's shown 1,000 times, you pay whatever it is that you bid. So, for example, if you bid 50 cents, when your ad gets shown 1,000 times, you pay 50 cents, right?
Oh,
Really, really effective way to do things if you are looking to do a more specialized niche demographic. So, for example, if you're a local business or if you cater to a very specific demographic. Um, for example, if you're going to cater to Tewu and I, you're going to target like 30 to 35-year-old Asian guys, right,
yeah.
in North America. So if you have a niche, CPM works really, really, really well. If you're a big brand, it also works better if you can narrow down the best ads. But with a niche, it's kind of obvious. You just kind of call it whatever niche you're targeting. With the kind of broader type of campaigns, you do need to do a little bit of work, and just not assume that the one ad you put up is going to deliver you the best performance. You really have to put in the work and find out what works best when you do a CPM buy.
I see, I see. So one thing that kind of strikes me about POF is how granular you can get with the targeting. And I know it's not just POF. Some sites obviously like Google or Site Scout, any kind of a RTB type thing.
Mm-hmm.
The targeting, you can go really crazy. You can go where they live, how old they are, what they like, where they
Yeah.
work. So like, tell me, what are some of the more interesting ways? I mean, what are some more interesting stuff that you've seen people target? Like how exact? Well, there's a two-part question. What's the biggest mistake that you see people make with advertising?
Okay. The biggest mistakes for a new advertiser, there are a few things. One is only uploading one ad.
Mm,
So in that sense, you kind of put all your eggs in one basket, right?
right.
You don't have an anchor point to have relative to performance. So if you only have the one ad, you don't know if it's good or bad if you don't have something to compare it to, right?
Mm,
So if you have, a $5 a day budget, if you're just starting out, it's much better to spend $5 on 5 ads and have each ad spend $1 than to spend all $5 into one ad.
mm,
So just don't put all your eggs in one basket and assume that, just because you think that ad looks nice, it's going to perform well, right?
mm,
Uh, One of the biggest challenges is kind of letting go of your own biases and thinking, this ad is going to do well because I think it looks pretty, and just putting it out there and letting the data tell you what's good and what's bad.
mm,
And along those lines, a lot of people will target way too broad on their first go.
mm,
I would highly, highly recommend doing a little bit of research on what demographics your particular product or service caters to, and going for the low hanging fruit. As an entrepreneur, you want to believe that everyone will love your product and everyone will buy your product. And that may be true, but not at the same rates. And what I mean by that is certain demos are going to be way more likely to purchase than others. Um, for example, if you have I don't know, a sports car accessories store or something like that, right? You'd probably want to target the younger guys with a lot of money or the older divorced guys, because that's the kind of sports car demographic.
mm.
You're not going to go for the single mom with low income, because that's not your demo, right?
Right, right,
They
right.
may be, but you want to go for the low hanging fruit and go for the demos that are most likely to buy your product. And then if you run out of traffic and you want more exposure, then slowly sneak into some of the other demos. But go with what's most obvious and what's going to generate the most revenue for you initially.
That's a good advice. Just curious, do you know what are there any tools that you know what products are best for which demographic? Is there like a demographic finding tool for that? Do you guys
Yeah,
provide that actually?
we have one. Yeah, let me just try to find out what the exact URLs, and I'll forward it to you. Um, but I can answer another question while I find that.
Okay, yeah. What are some of the more interesting ways you see people advertise on POF? Because I tried a bunch of other things. So what are some of the more interesting products that you've seen?
Let me think about what I can say. How PG is your audience, by the way?
Well, honesty is the best policy, and of course, honesty is what people like. So try to go all out. Go all out.
The weirdest product I've seen advertised on POF was for people who I think needed to pass a drug test and needed fake urine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so there's a demo for that if you can find it. I'll look the demo
Oh,
up as
okay.
well, but that by far blew my mind. And they
Oh,
advertised for like a month or so, and I think they actually did okay because no one advertises a month if they lose money day
right.
after day, right? So that's the weirdest one by far that I've seen.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so just really weird out of the box thinking, but it worked. So
Oh,
can't
okay.
hate that, right?
Interesting. Well, so I think one thing that so I've personally been advertising for over 5, 7 years. So I know like which source works best for what. So your biggest customers, right? Your biggest customers, I'm assuming are dating affiliates, right?
Right.
So how exactly what keeps them coming back? Are they doing something different? Are they like driving to a squeeze page and then are they trying to, do, you know, email drip marketing following that? Or like what's their strategy? Why do the big guys keep spending with you?
Okay. If you're gonna go from being a casual advertiser to a serious high revenue generating advertiser, there are a few things that I've noticed that the high revenue guys do differently. The very first thing they do is they get on a schedule, um, which I don't think a lot of people do. So, for example, Monday will be optimizing day. Tuesday is finding new creatives and making new ads day. Wednesday is looking for more traffic sources. So they have like a set routine,
Mm,
which which is something that like a 9 to 5 worker would do, but taking that into the entrepreneurial world where you manage your time, I think is brilliant, and not many people do it. It's just they'll do it whenever they feel like it or whatnot, but as long as you make yourself accountable, and you get the work done, that's step one.
mm,
And step two is they test more than the average person would test. So, like I said, going with the schedule, every week they upload 5, 10, 20 new ads consistently, just trying to find out what works over week, over week, over week, to ensure that, once a really good performing ad burns out, they have, four other backup ads that will carry on with the profit. So, every ad's going to die eventually, it's just a matter of when, right?
right.
So if you have things constantly coming through, then you're never really worried about it. And the good thing about ads is once they burn out, they do recover. So in about 2 months or a month, you can just make active that one that you pause and it'll perform again. So, keeping things fresh, testing a lot. And this touches on what you said with the landing page. So what these guys do, the general recipe that they use is they will direct link to the offer for a week or so. And that way they have performance stats on how that direct link converts on a
Mm,
Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, etc.
mhm,
Then they'll throw in a squeeze page, no email captures, nothing, just a plain squeeze page to see if they can beat the direct link performance. If that's successful, then they'll start doing other things like putting exit pop-ups or under pops to further increase your ROI.
mm,
Then they'll put the email submits, and email submit may decrease your performance, but you're hoping you'll make it up when you create that giant list that you can then advertise to, right?
right.
But that's usually last because that runs a risk of decreasing your ROI quite a bit
Mm,
if it's too disruptive.
mm,
So it's a very step-by-step procedure that these big guys do follow, and they follow to a T. There was a video I posted on our blog about a guy who uploaded something like 10,000 campaigns or 3,000, something like that.
yeah, I've seen that one.
That was just yeah, that was just a real methodical. This demo doesn't work. This demo doesn't work. This demo doesn't work. And over the few months, he ended up having a ton of campaigns, and he ended up replicating campaigns. One of the tricks that you may or may not know is if you replicate a campaign, chances are you'll get more traffic for that demographic that you've replicated the campaign for, right?
Mm,
It's just simple luck, right? If you have one campaign, you have like one chance of getting your ad picked for delivery, right, by
Mm,
the website.
right.
If you have 5 campaigns, then you have 5 chances of getting your ad picked for delivery. So if a campaign is working really well, consider duplicating the campaign to get more traffic.
Mm, interesting.
Um, Big guys attend conferences, they make connections, and that's huge. Just meeting face to face, especially in this industry, is quite important, I think, because you can get so much done on Skype or over the phone, but if you um, build a relationship with someone and go out drinking or do whatever you do on a conference trip, it really solidifies the relationships. So if you've never been to a conference, highly recommend you go, just to really absorb the whole experience and talk with like-minded people, talk with people who are more successful than you, and try and get some information from them. So, yeah, I think that's another thing I think a lot of people should do if you haven't done it already, is just to get out there and talk with people who are in the same situation as you, and make connections, and try to develop better relationships, and additional relationships with people who have products or who have services that may complement what you're currently doing.